On a beautiful night at Shinya County Jung Manor, a noble race physician is sighing after checking a baby's condition. The physician evaluates it will be hard for this child to live past 20 years old because of the constitution he is born with. This is a divine punishment, the father's thoughts. Not only was this child born with such a constitution, but he also caused his mother to die due to his birth. The physician is saddened by the fact that this person, the Jung Manor patriarch, Jung Dae-myung, said such a thing. This is similar to the 9 severed meridians, explains the physician. Never in his life has he seen anyone with their Biwi acupoint open to such an extreme. He refers to it as the acupoint in the head. With it, the child will die soon. People usually call that deity ascension. It is something that extremely powerful Taoists do when they depart for the heavenly realm. The physician believes that to be nothing more than nonsense. Some old rumors say that absolute martial masters use the upper meridian of their heads, specifically by using the Biwi acupoint. That so-called deity ascension is when someone gets too drunk on the energy of the great nature that came from the heavens and earth and dies because they cannot withstand it. A sense of disdain appears on the father's face while looking at his son. Right after, he hurriedly stands up, believing that this is heavenly punishment, and ignores the child. The physician is angry due to the fact that a father said such a thing to a sinless baby before Dae-myung tells him to leave and promises his pay through the chief steward. In return, the physician hastily leaves the manor after he claims to not need the pay. He murmurs to himself that if the child had grown up in the unorthodox sex and demonic faction, he would have become the heavenly demon. If he had grown up in the Shaolin Temple, he would have been able to use the 72 elite training methods of the temple 2 times over. But yet, he was born as a hated child in such a place. The physician knows the child will die in the countryside young, without any way to survive, unless he achieves enlightenment on his own. 15 years later, at the Jung Manor, the Jung family gathers at the table, as Dae-myung reveals that ever since his deceased father, a disciple of the Jongnon sect Seonjeomja, founded this clan, he has dedicated his whole life to bringing revival to the clan. If his clan becomes famous throughout the world, he will have inherited the ultimate technique of the Jongnon sect. He toasts the fact that his son followed in the footsteps of his deceased father and managed to join the Jongnon sect. The siblings then congratulate their brother, who joined the Jongnon sect, before Dae-myung tells everyone to raise their glass for a toast. The eldest then looks at the empty seat at the table, as he calls out to his father that Yeonshin is not here with them yet. Dae-myung reveals that he told Yeonshin to stay at the training ground. The eldest tries to protest, but is met with refusal. It's better for Yeonshin to not be here on such a joyous occasion. He would only bring ill omens, his father claimed. In the training room, Yeonshin is diligently cultivating by himself. For the whole time he is alive, being shunned by his family, he lives his life solely to figure out how to live longer than his constitution allows him to be. Suddenly, inner energy surges out throughout his body outward. The moment he is done, he can feel his body is stronger, his sight is sharper, and his mind is clearer. All of this is because he completely mastered the Jung clan's movement art. With this technique art, Yeonshin can stimulate his muscles with energy and then compress it, and for now, he can't get any stronger than this. Yet the question remains whether he will be able to live longer after having a stronger body. Thinking about this technique, he remembers a time when he came to his elder brother and informed him about the new technique he created. It is a technique he redeveloped from the clan's exclusive martial art. The brother is surprised to hear such a thing. He then scolds Yeonshin to never tell anyone about it. Feeling dejected, he comes to another one of his brothers. Yet again, he doesn't want to learn the technique Yeonshin created for fear of energy deviation. When the words get to his father, he is mad. Dae-myung is mad at how daring his son is for messing up with the clan's technique, since he is not a clan founder. Not only Yeonshin is being shunned further by his family because of this, but he is also being scolded by literally everyone with hate and discontent. In the end, Yeonshin ponders about it. Someone who creates martial arts, a founder of a martial group called a clan founder. Yeonshin never thought of himself as such. He never thought much about creating it. He just wanted to become healthy and live with everyone. Coincidentally, People gather around today because some important guest is about to arrive. Only after Yeonshin sees that he remembers the martial masters of Jungnan sect's visitation. It is a sect known as one of the 9 great sects in the world. They are one of the twin walls that are known as the strongest groups in Shaanxi alongside the Manhwa sect. Yeonshin thinks of it as the place where the deities of sword are, and he wants to meet them in person. Sadly, a few nights before, the chief steward informs Yeonshin to not show his face to the important guests. It's his father's order, because he caused his mother's death with his birth. The chief steward apologizes to Yeonshin before he leaves. This leaves Yeonshin in a state of confusion, because he wants to see them, but is forbidden to do so by his father. In the end, he thinks maybe it would be fine if he see them from afar, as he thoughts he will be able to learn something from such skilled masters. Members from the Jung's clan gather at the entrance to welcome the esteemed guest, including Dame Young, accompanied by the murmur of the people who wonder who would come to this place. As the waited time comes, it is announced the martial masters of the Jungnan sect have arrived. A woman wearing peach-colored robe, leading the masters behind her. As she steps into the yard of the Jung family court, people inside are surprised to see that their esteemed guests are one of the noble race. Along with them, Yeonshin is also surprised to see her, because a noble race known in books to be a mysterious race that can live on forever. Humans think of them as deities. Yeonshin notices particularly the energy around her. The core energy condensed in one's body that is being exuded out of her body naturally. On the other hand, Dame Young nervously welcomed her. She politely greets them, feeling grateful for such a welcome and hospitality. She is Yeonshin, an elder of the Jungnan sect. The instant she introduces herself, Dame Young is shocked to know that she is an elder. He immediately bows down along with everyone, asking for forgiveness for failing to recognize such a person. Yeonshin asks them to raise their head, as she claims to be here not to boast of her status. In return, Dame Young hastily offers the guests to come inside. On the other hand, a noble race on top of being an elder, Yeonshin can only wonder how long has she lived. Right after Yeonshin leisurely walks toward the pavilion, guided by the head of the clan, Dame Young, and his child except Yeonshin, who watches from behind the masses. Somehow, Yeonshin turns toward Yeonshin. Noticing the look she gives, Yeonshin puts his hands together to greet her. At the same time, Dame Young notices she looks toward his son. He informs her that Yeonshin is his 3rd son. As he leaves the gathering, Yeonshin comments on how bright his eyes are and how smart he looks. Hearing such words, Dame Young reveals that kid to be not well-mannered, which confuses Yeonshin. Dame Young further adds that Yeonshin is an embarrassment to the family for always being a troublemaker. On the other hand, Yeonshin is back in the training room picking a sword. He has gained a new perspective after seeing the energies of the Jungnan sect's martial masters. He had nowhere to go else to climb after training in the Jung clan's movement art, and was wondering about what he should train after. As if deciding on a whim, he is now going to try training with swords. Once the welcome greeting was done, the martial masters went into the room. One of them thinks this place is better than he thought. With this much earth energy, the tyrant sword tribe would want this place, he adds. Yeonshin thinks they will come to this place, and it will be good for them to plan a counterattack. Unfortunately, that will result in the sacrifice of the Jung clan. One of them suggests to attack and destroy them before they cross the walls. Yeonshin thinks this might be a great idea if it happens, but the 13 skies. Within the tyrant sword tribe, they're the most problematic bunch. So she decides to wait and tells her subordinates to not let their guard down and their sword aura sharp at all times. Other than that, Yeonshin keeps recalling Yeonshin in her mind because he clearly stood out among the rest of the Jung clan members. This makes her think what a strange child he is. As the night falls, Yeonshin is diligently cultivating in the training room. This is the first time he comes to know that his Baihui acupoint is open wider than the others. Although he wasn't able to meditate for a year since he was focused on training his body via Jung's clan movement arts, the amount of energy that goes through his head has gotten even greater. Horror fills his mind, fully understands that at this rate, he will have less than 5 years before he loses consciousness. This is his reality. He lives on borrowed time. and he has less than 5 years to live. He doesn't know yet what to do, and he feels scared. He goes out of the training room to clear his mind. Even though he has completely mastered Jung's clan movement art, he knows he can't stop his life from dying in 5 years. Suddenly, he is surprised to find something wrong. He feels an ominous energy coming from the side court. That instant, he runs off toward it as he knows something is off. The closer he gets, the stronger the scent of blood is. What's weirder is the night is too quiet for bloodshed to happen. Only after looking at the gate, he finds a trap formation. Without hesitation, Yeonshin goes through the gate to find all the servants who are massacred. While he cultivated, he didn't realize something like this was happening within the Jung manor. The only conclusion he comes to is because of the trap formation. Looking at the dead, Yeonshin finds the people here are all from the Jung clan, so he wonders whether the culprits possess overwhelming martial prowess. Only after looking around a bit, a bald brood appears saying, "What a fool Yeonshin is." If he managed to stay alive, he suggested he should stay hidden instead of crawling out. The other culprit guesses that Yeonshin has a short life, so he tells the bald brute to send the kid to the afterlife. The bald fool claims to only follow orders, asking Yeonshin to not blame him for it. Putting his inner energy into his hand, he attempts to crush Yeonshin. But the frail-looking kid simply grabs his hand, stopping him in his tracks, before Yeonshin crushes his hand with his bare hand. The bald brute can only scream in agony after the bone of his arm is broken by a frail-looking child. Absent of emotions, Yeonshin looks around to assess the culprits and brushes the bald brute aside. The leader of the culprits wonders who this kid is. Only after Yeonshin gathers his inner energy, he reveals that he is the third son of this household. Without minding the bald brute, he steps forward with the killing intent in his mind. But he stands up, and with every fiber of his being, he curses at the frail-looking kid that broke his hand, going for another attack attempt with his other hand. Before he could reach anything, Yeonshin already finished swinging his sword. It's all but an instant, and the bald brute's head is already rolling on the floor. Finishing with him, Yeonshin immediately strives forward, going to strike every person who dares to attack his clan. Yet again, without being able to respond, another culprit already stricken down. Using the technique of his own making, the scripture of origin ability, Yeonshin moves flawlessly to dodge the incoming attack and launches his own counterattack. With killing intent in his mind and ferocity in his eyes, just like everyone before them, the culprits are unable to do anything in the face of this frail-looking kid. 2 more people ahead of him, Yeonshin simply beheaded one, and after swiftly pushing the other back, Yeonshin stabbed the man in his heart after he missed his one and only chance to attack the kid. One after another, the culprit falls with every sword strike Yeonshin performs. Despite how young Yeonshin is, his every sword strike bears the weight of decisiveness to kill without hesitation. Once he finishes returning the sins they committed, Yeonshin feels pleased that even though this is his first time training the delightful sword, he finally gets how it works. Out of nowhere, another group of people appears. The brute, the leader of the group, claims they will easily deal with the frail-looking kid in front of them because they won't let their guard down. In the face of atrocity, Yeonshin is able to stay calm, and not an ounce of anger appears on his face while he keeps listening. The brute expresses how surprising it is for a kid is, and wonders whether he trained the delightful sword all his life. Instead of answering the question, Yeonshin asks whether they are from the Blood Flame cult. Apparently, the first group of culprits he massacred were from the Blood Flame cult, and the new group of people that appeared were from the Tyrant Sword tribe. The 13 Skies are said to be the most cruel and powerful in all of Murim. At this point in time, 2 of those organizations of people are here. The brute refuses to answer when Yeonshin tries to ask why 2 organizations of the 13 Skies are here. On the other hand, seeing how they don't attack, Yeonshin assumes they know he is a part of the Desolate Fortress, the best branch sect in Murim. That is why if they kill him, it would be a pain for them even if they are a part of the Tyrant Sword tribe. Suddenly, there is a massive aura sword attack going through the yard, surprising Yeonshin. He notices the man blasted by the attack is one of the masters from the Jungyeon sect. Right after, Jung Yeonshin flew in as well. She notices the frail-looking kid as she dodges the aura sword attack. She is known as the deity of the sword, so for her to be in such disarray, her opponent must have been strong. Suddenly, a chill runs down Yeonshin's spine. Another person appears and joins the fray as he hovers in the air. With such ominous energy exuding from every fiber of his being, Yeonshin can only wonder who this person might be. Somehow, this man bothered to take a glance at the frail-looking child, making Yeonshin's head feel light just from the eye contact. Before long, the group of brutes kneel and greet the man as their tribe leader. That instant, Yeonshin realizes who this man is. He is the Tyrant Sword Tribe leader, the man who reigns over the Tyrant Sword Tribe, which is a part of the unorthodox 13 Skies and is considered a harbinger of disasters in Jianghu. Yeonshin wonders why such a man, who is considered an equal to a patriarch of one of the 9 great sects in a place like this. Looking at the state of the martial masters from the Zhongnan sect, Yeonshin thinks they, along with himself, are as good as dead. Yeonshin takes a moment to take a deep breath and solidify his mind to at least see what can he do to such a person before he dies. Without hesitation in step, with no fear in his mind, and wearing conviction in his heart, he strives forward, going for an attack attempt toward the Tyrant Sword Tribe leader. Noticing the incoming attack, the leader of the squad unsheathes his sword, going to meet the strike. Fortunately, before he could even turn around, Yeonshin was already going through his heart. This instance immediately takes up the Tyrant Sword Tribe leader as well as the elder of Zhongnan's sect's attention. A mere 15-year-old kid dares to pick up his sword and blatantly kill one of Tyrant Sword Tribe members in front of its leader. Yeonshin then provokes them, saying they can now kill him after what he did. The members of the Tyrant Sword Tribe immediately take up their sword, going to attack the brazen kid in front of them. But they instantly stop at their track after their leader commands them to stop. He then commends Yeonshin, telling him that his spirit is better than all those here combined. This makes everyone confused and wonder who he was praising. Somehow, the Tyrant Sword Tribe leader decides to let this brazen kid live. Yeonshin thinks this person can't kill him. As he takes up his sword, he reveals that it is because he is the only grandson of the former Divine Sword Squad leader of the Desolate Fortress. This revelation surprised Jung Yeonshin, knowing the Divine Sword Squad is the best in the Desolate Fortress. It was created by the Imperial family in order to prevent conspiracy by the Murim forces. It's definitely not a good idea to get involved with them. But the Tyrant Sword Tribe leader claims that is not the reason he is letting this kid live. For some reason, he likes the kid. He sees Yeonshin's temperament and spirit are what a powerful martial artist in Jianghu needs. The Tyrant Sword Tribe leader wants to take the kid in as a disciple if he is not related to the Desolate Fortress. What he just said surprised the people in the yard. The fact that a martial master known to be one of the strongest would take the kid as a disciple. Stabbing his sword on the floor, he tells Yeonshin to leave this place within a day and won't let any other sects or clans step foot on this land. Yeonshin and Jung Yeonshin intently listen to the Tyrant Sword Tribe's words before he leaves them alone, as he promises. He briefly looks back to say that he will always be open to having a duel with, and to come find him when Yeonshin is ready to get revenge. With determination in his eyes, Yeonshin can only let his enemies chase him away from his land. With nothing more than 5 years of life he can live, he wonders if he can take revenge. Back at the main pavilion, Yeonshin is looking at his dying father with eyes absent of emotions. He grabs his hand as he calls out to him. Daemyeon can only wonder how his son, who he shunned for the whole of his life, was so strong. It's all thanks to the martial arts Yeonshin created. Only then does this fool of a father remember how this child of his nervously reveals the fact that he created martial arts by modifying the Jung clan movement arts. He meets his child's wish for approval with discontent and hatred instead of being proud. Tears flow down from his eyes, for finally understands how foolish and ignorant he is. He fails to realize that his son created the sacred art and the fact that his son has the qualities of a founder. And with it, he takes his last breath as the second son of the Jung clan wallows in tears for losing his father. Yeonshin stands up to talk to the chief steward who holds Haya. She is Yeonshin's niece. Fortunately, she is safe. She has simply been sleeping. Apparently, someone hit her acupoint to knock her out. Then she was hidden so the killers wouldn't find her. Turning around, Yeonshin tells his second brother to take care of her in the Jungnan sect. She has an exceptional affinity with the five elements, so they probably will take her in. On the other hand, Yeonshin will look after himself. As if on cue, Yeonshin appears, intending to talk to Yeonshin. Now that the tyrant sword tribe leader has gotten involved, she must report this incident to the Jungnan sect without delay. After being asked about it, Yeonshin will go to the desolate fortress where his mother's family is. Unlike his second brother, he doesn't have anywhere else where he can go and grow stronger. Not wanting to lose such talent, Yeonshin offers him to go to Jungnan Mountain to train. Yeonshin already sets his mind to go to Desolate Fortress before Yeonshin reveals that she is going to recommend him to become the sect leader's disciple. This comes as a huge shock for the two men, knowing the magnitude of this offer. To be the direct disciple of the Jungnan sect leader would allow him to learn the absolute sacred art. More importantly, the Jungnan sect leader is one of the few top martial masters of the top 10 swordsmen in the world. Yeonshin already has a plan in mind, so he puts his hands together and refuses the offer. He also promises to not forget the kindness she has shown today. Yeonshin already knows he would refuse. She simply wanted someone talented like him. That's probably what the tyrant sword tribe leader thought as well. In the end, Yeonshin can only apologize while Yeonshin pledges the door of the Jungnan sect will always be open for him. Yeonshin knows Yeonshin is one of the older people among the noble races, so he asks her about the method to get the fruit of the world tree. It is a fruit that being protected by the desolate fortress leader, whom the emperor acknowledged as the king and a peer. It's said to give eternal life and youth to those who eat it. It's a treasure of the heavens. Yeonshin could possibly gain more life in his short lifespan if he eats that. Yeonshin hasn't even lived half her own lifespan, so she has no authority over the world tree. All she knows is that the desolate fortress leader is able to give that to other people. In that case, Yeonshin must go to the desolate fortress. Sadly, it won't be easy to get it. That's a sacred item, even for the noble races. Yeonshin doesn't know any other way, so it can't be helped. All he can do is become the divine sword squad leader and achieve great feats and ask for it. Knowing this child's determination, Yeonshin will cheer him from afar before she has to leave first to bring the news to her sect. She commands two of her subordinates, the cliff swordsman and neutral spirit, to help with the cleaning of this place. That's the end of their conversation. Yeonshin takes off to the Jungnan sect. As the morning rises, the survivor of the incident finishes with burying the dead. Yeonshin offers his thanks to the two people who stayed to help, as the rest of the survivors are already prepared to leave this land. On the other hand, the two people from the Jungnan sect are the ones who are thankful to Yeonshin. Because of him, the tyrant sword tribe leader decided to leave this place and spare the survivor of this tragedy. Right after, his second brother calls out to him. He expresses that an apology won't cut it for everything that has happened to Yeonshin and their clan. He promises when they meet again, he will try to be a better older brother to Yeonshin. He will do his best in the Jungnan sect and hope this younger brother of his to survive as well. Returning the words, Yeonshin knows his brother will learn the Jungnan sect's martial arts at a slightly later age, and he is not exceptional. So he tells his brother to train like his life depends on it. Turning his gaze toward his tender-age niece, he asks his brother to protect her since she will go with him. Right after, it's Chief Steward's turn, and he will go to a small branch of the Jung clan within Naninang. Since the bloodline of the Jung clan is alive, he will look after the remaining clan assets. Since Yeonshin is heading to the desolate fortress, he hopes they can meet from time to time. As he turns around, he wishes the chief steward to take care of himself and to live a comfortable life. With that, Yeonshin takes off toward desolate fortress, without a servant or warrior to guard him. Watching his young master's back heading off, the chief steward left wondering whether he ever heard any of the Jung descendants say that to him, signifying how different Yeonshin is from the others. A few days later, on a peaceful night at Xianyang, Yeonshin arrives at a restaurant with desolate fortress in sight. He overheard another guest speak of how incredible the desolate fortress is. He also reveals that people all over the Central Plains would gather here with big dreams because of them. Accidentally, Yeonshin arrives around this time, when the desolate fortress has their entrance exam. Out of nowhere, a wild martial artist appears, asking whether Yeonshin is going to take the entrance exam as well. He is Hien Wonchong, claiming to be from a faraway place called Shangxi. He assumes Yeonshin came from somewhere nearby, and his journey must have been easy, since he has to fight green forest bandits and swim against the crew of the pirate fortress. He keeps complaining about how his journey is hell and stuff. Truth be told, Yeonshin also encounters such people on his way on top of almost losing his entire family at his home. In the end, Yeonshin claims that his journey to be easy for him. Knowing Yeonshin is younger than him, Wonchong suggests that they be friends and share information about the exam. He is appalled by the fact that somehow Yeonshin doesn't even know there is such an exam. Wonchong goes on a long rant about it. He reveals the exam known as the trial. The desolate fortress is quite different from the usual martial arts groups. Just as how those who want to become a government official must be well-versed in both martial arts and literature, there is an exam just for joining the desolate fortress. Yeonshin is listening intently as Wonchong further explains that is why so many people are gathered here at this time. No matter if one has foundations or not, the moment one joins them, opportunities and teaching will be provided to him. It's no wonder that every martial artist is swarming here. Countless people have learned various martial arts so they can pass the test. Desolate Fortress is the strongest martial group in the world and the place of martial arts that causes everyone's heart to inevitably race. People would say, if one wants to take on the world with just one weapon, go to the Desolate Fortress. Since the imperial family that ruled over the Central Plains would make their move in order to control the martial arts groups, all the elixirs and advanced martial arts gathered from all over the world were waiting there. Wonchong adds that almost nobody has been able to pass the Desolate Fortress trial in one try. There might be 1 in 1,000 that passes, but they are usually the next generation leaders of reputable martial arts clans that are rising in the world and gaining fame. After he finishes his rant, Wonchong suggests that they come to the Desolate Fortress entrance exam together tomorrow. Nonchalantly, Yeonshin agrees to his suggestion, and that is how Yeonshin captures a wild sidekick in his journey. Since it comes to this, Yeonshin actually feels glad that he didn't have to ask his mother's family for help since he doesn't know where they live or what they look like. The morning next day arrives in a flash. Yeonshin and his new sidekick, Wonchong, arrive together in front of the fortress gate. Yeonshin registers and receives a wood plaque with the word 13 written on it. Looking around, all the people who are taking the exam are older than him. Some first-time takers and some that already taken it multiple times. Wonchong explains that the first exam is to simply stand before the examiner. One will pass when he accepts one's plaque, and one will fail if he tells one to return it to the reception. The second exam is simply a tournament between the exam takers. The third exam is an interview with the Desolate Fortress's master. Yeonshin is surprised that the master herself would take part in the exam. There are martial artists who come to Yangyang just for that chance. A conversation with an absolute master like her is an incredible opportunity in hopes of receiving some kind of profound understanding. Once everything is ready, the examiner announces the first exam to simply perform a swift sword art before him. To be specific, it is to demonstrate one swing with the fastest sword technique they have. Wonchong jumps at the opportunity to be the first to take the exam. He is nervous and somehow volunteered himself. Once he arrives in front of the examiner, his demeanor changes and Yeonshin notices it. Looking at his new sidekick, he immediately knows that Wonchong is strong, even stronger than some of the vagabonds he saw on the way here. Once he is ready, he gathers his inner energy into every fiber of his muscle and performs a swift and quick sword slash. People watching are amazed at how quick his technique is. Some people can see it, but some cannot see it at all, while Wonchong is nervously waiting for his judgment. He feels joyful the moment the examiner asks for his plaque, signifying he passed the first exam. Wearing smug on his face, Wonchong wishes his new friend good luck. Confidently, Yeonshin walks toward the examiner with his sword in hand. Apparently, People are surprised with the fact that such a young man going to take the infamously hard, desolate fortress entrance exam. He stands before the examiner, and people thought he was merely here to look for advice from some random martial artist present. The examiner evaluates Yeonshin for a bit before he tells the frail-looking kid in front of him to begin. In an instant, the examiner marks the time for Yeonshin to perform his sword strike. All he takes is a split second, and Yeonshin is already finished with his sword technique. A wave of energy followed right after, surprising the examiner along with everyone else that is watching. Yeonshin is busy with his mind, while Wonchang's brain is blown by how fast the sword strike is. Yeonshin sheathes his sword, as the examiner states that the future of Desolate Fortress is right here, before he tells Yeonshin to give the plaque. With it, Yeonshin put his hand up to give respect to the examiner. Right after, he hurriedly goes to go away, leaving the people speechless and Wonchang following. Once he catches up, he wonders whether this new friend of his is the son of a famous family. Yeonshin doesn't think it will change anything, since he heard that after entering Desolate Fortress, all that matters is one's martial arts, talent, and effort. Wonchang is somehow unable to believe that Yeonshin is trying to enter the Desolate Fortress on his first try. Isn't that why everyone comes here? Yeonshin expresses his sincerity to give his all in the trials. Understanding that Wonchang intends to go on his way after thanking Yeonshin for showing his determination. On the other hand, Yeonshin wishes that this kind and talkative Wonchang passes the second exam as well. As he is waiting, Yeonshin checks in at an inn and cultivating. He knows the second exam is a tournament where he will compete against others with his martial arts. He has 3 weeks until the second exam, and considering the upcoming exam, the correct choice is to train his skill. He will train the Jung clan's movement art and rapid sword arts, as well as the scripture of origin ability, which amplified chi movement technique. As he trains, 3 weeks pass by in a flash. Yeonshin is ready as he could be, as he already come on the gathering place for the second exam. The martial artist who oversees the second exam tells the examinees to wait until their names are called. Martial artists who newly joined the Desolate Fortress will be using white. This makes the examinees feel discouraged, seeing someone wearing white has such a strong inner energy. But Yeonshin is indifferent toward this fact. All he wants is to do what he can. Wonchang comes out of nowhere greeting him as a young Lord Jung. He somehow notices that Yeonshin has gotten taller. On the other hand, Yeonshin also feels something different from Wonchang, as he claims that he achieved something. Right after, the overseer announces that everyone must remember that winning is not what's important in this exam. Even just having one of the 2 matches of the tournament is enough to catch the eye of one of the Desolate Fortress masters who will be watching. Although, from personal experience, Wonchang knows that's the hardest part. He explains the problem is that the exam supervisors are going to have higher standards today. That is because the White Qilin is competing at today's Desolate Fortress trial. The White Qilin from Namgung, known to wiped out a notorious group of bandits before he was even 15, beheaded the sword master of the unorthodox faction, the Shrouded Assassin. Wonchang reveals rumors that he defeated all of the up and rising fighters at the 8 Great Families Dragon and Phoenix tournament when he was only 18. If he comes from a dignified family and already has martial dignity, Yeonshin wonders why he tries to join the Desolate Fortress. Wonchang explains that it is because the White Qilin is a child of a concubine, so he can't become the patriarch. If one rises to the position of the Desolate Fortress Lord's captain, it's of similar standing to a patriarch of the 8 Great Families. One will have more power, if anything. Once Wonchang finished yapping, Yeonshin's name was called to do the second exam. Before he goes off, Yeonshin wishes to see Wonchang again in Desolate Fortress, signifying he wants this sidekick of his to succeed in the trial. The first opponent Yeonshin's face is a sword martial artist. This person is a sadistic weirdo, saying all kinds of weird stuff like not knowing Yeonshin's final destination is mere despair. He honestly thinks this mere frail-looking child must be the moth that's struggling around while laughing his mouth off. Before he could see anything, he was already blown off by a single strike to the face. A satisfying ending to a pathetic, sad, old mess. Somehow, Yeonshin feels bad to strike his opponent that hard, thinking he has gone too far with his attack.